Wall Street lacks direction. What's going on, guys? Brandon here. We have your market update for the day. And CPI came out. And guess what, guys? Life is good. Things are good. Everything's amazing because we have a lower CPI print. Now, it's still accelerating. It's just a slower acceleration. So if you can figure that out, you can still see that things are crazy. I anecdotally just talked to someone the other day, and they said eggs are, one of my buddies in California said eggs are $7 a carton. Mind-blowing. I remember they were 70 cents like 2 years ago here in Michigan. Now again, different states, different time period, right? But when you print all that currency, all that fiat fugazis, that's what happens. As we have shown you guys many times, it's funny that eggs are in the news. And again, now I'm seeing it in Twitter Spaces. People are talking, eggs are in the news. What have we been showing everybody? This is your life on eggs. We just did a video yesterday. This is your life on eggs from Fred itself. Going up the last 40 years. If you have held dollars, your life has got exponentially more expensive just to buy eggs. However, if you're holding Bitcoin, look at your life. It's gotten extremely cheap. And this is really the graph for everything. We showed this for Palo Alto Homes. It looks like this. Actually, it looks even higher. The Palo Alto Homes have cost even more dollars now than they did. And it's the chart, if in Bitcoin, looks pretty much like this for Palo Alto Homes. So just think, again, how much cheaper your life gets. Because all that means, it's not that Bitcoin is necessarily, shouldn't say Bitcoin's not changing, because it is in a way. Bitcoin, the utility is changing, and there's two different Bitcoins. You see the one with the uppercase B and the one with the lowercase b. The one with the uppercase b is the network. The one with the lowercase b is the token itself. So the token, it's just a token. It's accumulating value because more people are putting their premium into that token, into that asset, into that money, the future money, where people are continually leaving, whether it's China or Russia, leaving the network, the US dollar network, because they see they're getting squeezed out of the system, or the average person saying, I'm out of here. So prices are rising everywhere. It takes more and more dollars. Those dollars are flooding back to America. Those chickens come home to roost, as Mike Maloney said 10 years ago that they would. And that will happen. That's going to happen more. That's going to raise interest rates even more to try to constrict things and suck the money back into the system, the currency back into the system, I should say. So these are the things that we have to be paying attention to and figuring out what is happening. And because, at the end of the day, we don't care about CPI. We don't care about inflation because we hold currency in a different system, money in a different system. We are outside the system. And I don't care at the end of the day, because my life, I know, has been consistently getting cheaper, and it's going to consistently get cheaper in the future because I hold the hardest asset known to man. Plus, we have some gold and silver, plus we have food storage, plus we have guns and ammo, plus we have food and energy, all these things stored outside the system in different geographical locations and spread out. So that way, we are secure. We've lived in multiple locations over the last few years. We have different places we live. We have different, and not everyone has that ability. So you don't have to have it in multiple locations. You can have stuff stored in your yard. You can have stuff underground. You can have stuff just out in your pantry. It doesn't matter. You can have things in many different areas in how you see fit. And the more people that are independent and resilient, the less we need government in our lives. The less we need this artificial growth from government, the less we need government coming in and telling us what we should or should not do. So, turning my phone off here. That's the news of the day. And let's check the markets here. Again, at the end of the day, we know the markets are driven, that everyone looks at the Dow, CNBC, Bloomberg, all these people. We know the system, though. It's driven by the debt market, though. That's the driver, the dog that wags the tail, the market's tail. And the inflation number is the talk of the day. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. So we see, actually we already have them up. So we see that, things are up a little bit. Actually, let's start with the bond market. We're going to start here. Check out what's going on, the 10-year. So again, we have the 10-year dropping a little bit because, again, people see the inflation rate down a little bit. So they're getting a little euphoric. They're getting like, oh, it's a little bit down, more than expected. Wee, yippee, yeah, woo, yeah, this is great. So they're thinking, again, maybe the Fed doesn't need to raise rates as much. So you see these rates moving down, ticking down a little bit. So what does that mean when these rates are going down? Or let's see as well, the DXY. Let's see what's happening to the DXY. So yeah, again, we have that. Of course, these two are kind of in lockstep a lot of times, the 10-year and the DXY. That's down a point as well, about 1% or so. So what do we have? Well, of course, we have, if I could find the stocks, of course, we have markets up. Again, nothing crazy, up here. Nothing, too incredibly crazy. We see the markets shooting up last day or so because, kind of leaked. Like everyone thinks that CPI, that's a great thing. It means that the Fed's going to raise rates less or pause. So that's good for risk assets, risk on assets, which are, generally equities, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, which Bitcoin will decouple from this. So that's the news of the day. That's really the big stuff. We're going to get into some other stuff here today. It's some just hilarious articles in Clown World, Fiat Clown World that is going on. This is why we need to remove ourselves from the system. But this really is the big news of the day, obviously. And again, if you guys want to go and check out it's a great site, Trading Economics, because it has all this data right here. It has the news. It has all the different barometers you can see. Like we just did the bond markets, obviously. So it's showing Bitcoin. Bitcoin's really bumped over the last day or two. Obviously, you can see some big bumps here in Bitcoin, and subsequently, when Bitcoin moves, so does the rest of the cryptocurrency, all the altcoins, all the garbage coins, all the other stuff going on there. So again, if Bitcoin is the pristine digital asset, it's the money of the future. If you get into all these, again, this is not financial advice, this is freedom advice. If you get into all these, just know you're in a venture capital casino. I'm not sitting here telling you an adult or something they can or can't do something. Just know what you're playing in. You're playing in the shark pool. You're playing in the shark-infested waters, in the VC waters. There's no underlying, real, I don't know if technology is the right word, but there's no underlying real value in these things. And anything that's of value will be flushed out and eventually brought into the Bitcoin ecosystem in layer 2, 3, 4, 5, just like the internet. Just like everything was brought into that internet, obviously, in the different layers, the subsequent layers built on top of the first layer protocol. So that will happen, but just know, is there ability to make some cheap fiat? Yeah, sure. There's some ability to make some fiat. However, how do you know? How do you know what's what? You're playing in shark-infested waters, and at the end of the day, we don't want fiat. We're not playing for more fiat. At the end of the day, make real value, make real goods and services, and put it into Bitcoin. Save in Bitcoin, as it's going to go up into the right long term because it's a fixed supply. All the properties we've always talked about, mathematically going to go up over time as more and more people, the halvings coming in just over a year, less and less supply on market, meaning there's only a little bit available on the margins. So the price, those all jumping in the market are going to be fighting over that little sliver that's available because all the holders, they're not giving it up. So you're going to be fighting over this little margin, this little 5, 10% or whatever on the margins. You're going to be fighting over that with BlackRock, with the governments of the world eventually. That's why price is going to skyrocket eventually. And we know, absolutely know, that the government, as we have shown many, many times, here we go. Here's the dollar price in Bitcoin. It's going through the floor. The dollar's lost 99% of its value since the Federal Reserve was created. We know the end game. Again, we showed the FDIC videos. Now it's making the rounds. Gregory Mannarino just showed it on his blog today. Other people have showed it today. So again, this is why we're here. We had some other people talk about the Lebanese stuff going on, which we talked about earlier this week as well. That popped back in the news. So again, we're on the forefront of things here. So let's check out some of the other videos. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And it's not that we're breaking news and I'm flying around the world doing this. However, I'm trying to scour things that are super important, that are pertinent to the everyday person and what to get prepared for. And there's going to be some stuff I'm going to talk about here in a couple of the videos today that are very important. And there are things that probably aren't going to happen tomorrow, but there are things to get prepared for now. What we want to do is make sure we have time to prepare for what's coming, because in great crisis, which will happen, because all life is about crisis and opportunity, we know that we can prepare and become very, very wealthy, independent, sovereign on the backs of what's going to happen. And those are just the talents, really, just like in the Bible. God gives the certain talents out, and some people chose to bury it in the yard and do nothing, and some people took it and said thank you, and then developed the skill and got better and developed it and multiplied that talent over time, and God rewarded those people. So this is what we're trying to do. The gifts we've been given, we're trying to reward not reward someone, but we're trying to take that and multiply that fruit and then say, hey, look, this is what I did with the talents you've given me that I've been graced with, and help as many people as possible become independent and not be slaves of the system and slaves of some man or woman at the top. That's not what life is about. It's not to be slave to another man or woman, human person. So I appreciate you. Please share these videos. Please check out the other videos today, because it's going to be some important stuff that's coming down the line, probably months and years down the line. But it's so incredibly important that we check into these and what's happening and why they're happening, and more importantly, and questioning everything with boldness. Again, not financial advice. This is freedom advice. And remember, this is our national debt. At the end of the day, We know the end game. We know the dollar end game. We know central banks are bailouts and bail-ins. That is the end game. And we have to prepare for this accordingly. To not do so would be foolish and naive. So I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Please share it with someone you think might get this, maybe on the edge, or maybe they don't get it. Maybe they just need a little push. And we appreciate your time and energy. It's the most important asset we have. And I truly look forward to seeing you on the next videos. It's the most important asset we have, our time. Time is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is time. The two only finite assets. Two finite assets. The only ones that I know of. I'll see you on the next one.